One battle after another is the brand new movie that just hit theaters this past weekend. The film is written and directed by Paul Thomas Anderson. The film stars Leonardo DiCaprio as the character of Bob, who, in the present time, 16 years after, is now an ex-revolutionary member who fought against the top people in the United States, but now is a single dad to the character played by Chase Infinity of Willa. And now, 16 years later, their arch enemy who caught Bob's wife, Tiana Taylor, back in the prologue of the movie, who is Colonel Stephen Lockjaw, played by Sean Penn. He finds out where these ex-revolutionaries are over a decade later as he is after to see if they can be caught. Also in the movie is Benicio del Toro, who serves as the sensei for Willa, but also becomes a big helping hand for Bob throughout the film. Regina Hall is also in the movie as Deandra, someone who's one of the main revolutionary people who were friends with Tiana Taylor's character of Perfidia as well. The film is 2 hours and 41 minutes and is rated R. Welcome back, everyone, to a brand new review here on Max Talks Movies. My name is Max Dimmer. We're talking one battle after another. So if you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button and ring that bell for notifications. I do out-of-theater reactions, TV show reviews, movie reviews. Every Monday, I break down the box office. I also do movie franchise rankings. So please subscribe, ring the bell, comment down below. What are your thoughts on this movie? Where does this rank for you in PTA's filmography? Love to hear your thoughts. If you've not seen it, tell me you're waiting closer to awards season to get involved. What is making you not go check this one out? Love to hear all your thoughts on this project down in the comment section down below. And also, guys, please hit that thumbs up button. So, I was actually quite skeptical for this movie, even with the rave reviews of most critics calling this a masterpiece. I still was very nervous about the movie because Paul Thomas Anderson, for me, yes, I there is greatness in Paul Thomas Anderson. He's definitely one of the best, most interesting, I would say, filmmakers of the last 25, 30 years. And early Paul Thomas Anderson, I'm a massive fan of. If we're talking Boogie Nights and Magnolia, you have Punch Drunk Love in there in the early days. Obviously, you had There Will Be Blood back in 2007. And I'd say that's the last time I was really a big fan of a Paul Thomas Anderson movie. The Master is an acting showcase more than an interesting story and film, in my opinion. And then you have films recently which I did not like Phantom Thread and Licorice Pizza. So I'm very, and Inherent Vice as well. Very mixed bag on PTA. The cast was cool. The trailers didn't really sell me on anything, so I was kind of nervous about that. I will say this for me is easily Paul Thomas Anderson's best film since There Will Be Blood back in 2007, which is now going on 18 years ago. And I don't think this film is a masterpiece or will be in my top three films of the year, but doesn't mean I don't think that this is a very excellent film. And it has a very distinct style to it. There are just not a lot of movies made like this anymore. And what I mean by that is this movie, yes, is nearly 3 hours long. And yes, it's telling a very serious, politically poignant, as I said, point on the story of the film. It's about these revolutionaries going up against these kind of like awful people. But I think this film is very telling of recent events in today's political climate. And I do want to say going in, I think this might hit too close to home for a lot of people. This might scare a lot of people. You might disagree with this movie politically on what this movie is standing for, what the ultimate message of the movie is. I do have a little bit of fault of that. I'll get to that in a little bit. But for a movie that, yes, is tackling such a serious subject, a very politically personal subject, this movie is also nearly 3 hours, as I said, is moved at such a breakneck pace. And it's very frantic and messy, but in a good way. For a film that says that it's nearly 3 hours, you just don't feel the runtime very much during this film. It is very fast paced. It is leveled out with a lot of humor that doesn't pull you out of the seriousness of the situation. It's actually a welcome addition because sometimes it can be, especially for for movies like this, it can be very bleak. And I think sometimes in life, in very bleak moments, comedy rises as well. And I think this movie has tons of really well-timed comedy, tons of moments of very dark, grim moments, but I don't think any of the tones knock into each other very much. I love the frantic pace of the movie. Once we get into where the father and the daughter are kind of separated, the movie is just fast paced for the rest of the film. And it is very fun to watch, but also can be very sad and scary to watch at the same time. The performances are really excellent here. DiCaprio, who I don't think this is like a top tier DiCaprio, but I think he's really good in this movie. And he plays someone that is going to be very easy to root for in the second half of the movie based on what he's doing and who he's doing this for. The father-daughter relationship is good in this movie. The movie would fall apart if DiCaprio and Infinity did not have good chemistry. But I say Chase Infinity is easily one of the standouts of this movie because she's really the one person you're absolutely sure of you're rooting for throughout the entire runtime. She is kind of just thrown into this situation. She's been trained for this situation, but never thought it would arise. And what she goes through, it's a very vulnerable performance. And maybe it's because it's a first time actress, not many people are going to shout her out. But Chase Infinity is one to watch. She's really fantastic here. Sean Penn is also really great here, like a vintage Sean Penn performance playing this absolute despicable human being in the movie who has very unique relationships. Also, that with a lot of the characters in the film, he's really good. Tiana Taylor is someone who I have not understood why it hasn't been used in movies. I was a lot more recently. She's obviously more known for her singing and dancing and some things of that nature. But I've liked her in a lot of movies over the last 5 years, and she's also very good here. Sadly, she's not in the movie that much, but when she's in the movie, she's easily one of the most captivating characters and performances of the film. Also, as I said, from a technical perspective, I thought the score with the piano was a really nice addition. There's a couple really cool chase sequences, but the best one is this Hills car chase. One of the coolest car chases I have seen in a movie ever. This whole place where they do the car chase, there's all these hills that the cars are going up and down and up and down. And it is just a cool, unbelievable, technically sound sequence from PTA behind the screen, from obviously the actors, from the cinematographer Michael Bauman. Just unbelievable work to pull off such a thrilling chase sequence. Now, I will say there are, as I said, I think two main negatives with the movie, which doesn't hold this back, which will hold this back from this being like a top three movie of the year for me. The first thing is, as I said, other than Chase Infinity, this is a character, these are characters it's tough to root for. No matter where you stand politically, the main characters of this film are, they're fighting for something that I believe in. I'll just come out and say that. I'm not afraid to say that. They're fighting for something that I believe in. They're doing it using violent means. Like they're technically like domestic terrorists in the first 30 minutes of the movie. And it's tough to root for characters that are domestic terrorists. And the first act of this movie, the prologue, it's very bleak, but it's also very bleak because you're not really finding yourself attaching to any of these characters in the movie. Once they introduce Willa into the movie, played by Chase Infinity, then the movie has a little bit more levity and easily someone you can root for. But it does take a long time to get to that point because, again, outside of the kid in the movie, everyone are technically in the military who are despicable people. And then the other side, the revolutionaries, are also kind of domestic terrorists. So that doesn't really help the movie as well. And that leads to me a very slow prologue. And I think the movie really hits high gear once we come to the present day. But I think they spend a little bit too long in the prologue setting things up. And as I said, I think Tiana Taylor is one of the most captivating parts of the movie, but she's just not in it that much. And I do wish she was in the movie throughout instead of really basically just in the prologue. So overall, I think One Battle After Another is an excellent film, a worthy film to be talked about, in award season. Yes, am I not calling it a masterpiece? I'm not, but doesn't mean I still don't really like this movie. I'm giving one battle after another a 4 out of 5 stars and 84%. What are your thoughts on this movie? Let me know down in the comments. Like the video, subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon.